Hi, I'm Dr. Erin Clabough, a professor, neuroscientist, author, mom of four, and I have put together a course called The Neuroscience of Growth Mindset that I'm really excited to share with you. And in order to let you know a little bit more about the course, I have gotten some questions from people about the course that I would like to answer today for you. So the first question that I have is, what is the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset? So this is pretty much at the heart of what this course is about. So a fixed mindset is thinking that things are a certain way and that they're not really changeable. A lot of the times this can seep into the way that we think about things as negative attitudes or as that things cannot be changed. So instead of coming into a situation with possibility and with being open to whatever might unfold, we might have a certain existing expectation, or we may feel like we are not up to the challenge. And what's interesting about this is research has again and again showed that people who have fixed mindsets, that they can't do something or that something is not for them, pretty much it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we think we can't do something, we're more likely to not be able to do something. And if we think that something like a topic or an experience is not for me, if you don't see yourself as being somebody who might be open to that, then you're not open to that. And it'll mean in kind of a feedback loop that will not be a situation that resonates with you and it won't be for you. So second question, how can we change our mindset from fixed to growth? Now, I'm of the mindset here that a little education about really simple tools that we can use to change the way that we talk to ourselves, the way we think about ourselves, and understanding a little bit more about the way that learning and change actually happens in a brain can do a huge amount to change our thinking from fixed mindset to growth mindset. So we'll talk in the course about the power of positive self-talk, the power of intention, and we'll talk about on a neuronal level, the way that synaptic plasticity works to change the synapses in between neurons based on experience and what you expose your neurons to. So it's pretty cool research out there. Okay, so the link between mindset and achievement. So this is kind of what I talked about in the first question, where you are much more likely to achieve more and to be able to experience things more as being for you if you think that they are. So this power of positive intent and the power of I guess it's really positive thinking. It's really phenomenal how much that directly translates into achievement. And I think in our traditional school setting, we've talked about it in terms of more setting intentions or setting goals. And that can be a really excellent way to work towards something and to use our focus or attention towards what we're trying to strive for. But at even more of a basic level than that, just the power of positivity is really impactful on what we can achieve. Okay, so what does growth mindset teaching look like in the real world? That's pretty easy because this is something that we can teach ourselves, or we can teach our kids, or we can teach children that we educate, or even just be a good sounding board for a family or friend who's struggling with this. So it's just practice. And that's the most simple thing on a neuroscience level. So these connections in between our neurons, one repetition of something is actually enough to change the strength of that synaptic connection. And that's pretty remarkable. Okay, some other questions. So what can trigger a fixed mindset? Any limiting belief is basically a fixed mindset. So it can be triggered by the story that you tell yourself about yourself. It can be triggered by the narrative that you have about yourself, your purpose, what you're good at, what you're bad at, what is meant for you, what kind of person you are, what kind of personality might you have. And those can all be really crafted in a very overt way by the family that we were raised in, by the cultural expectations that were put on us as we were young, and then how we grew to meet those expectations. Our fear of failure is another really powerful thing that can trigger a fixed mindset in us. And so part of the course is really working with that idea of what failure is and why failure actually is a really positive thing. And it's the way that learning experiences were designed from a neuroscientific point of view from the very beginning. And that one of the issues that we have with achieving growth mindset is that we've been set up from a very young age to be really shunning failure. And if you're shunning failure, you're not going to go outside your comfort zone. So we work a little bit with that idea of being more comfortable with not getting things right the first time, because if you take the first answer, it's never the best answer. All right, so another question, is it true that we have only a fixed or a growth mindset that is pure with nothing in between? I would definitely take issue with that because from my perspective, it is just a continuum. I find from a biological point of view that almost everything is a continuum from, black to white. It's all shades of gray in between. You're never just black or white. So it's the same thing here where the process of achieving growth mindset needs a little bit of growth mindset in a very meta way. So as you go from fixed mindset to growth mindset, it'll happen little by little, and it'll get easier for you and more natural feeling as you practice it, and it'll be more effective. But also we have these different mindsets in different areas of our lives. So maybe in some areas of your life, you might actually have a growth mindset already. That's just the way that you show up in that situation. But in other situations, you might actually have a really limiting mindset. And it's something that you just don't feel like is for you, that you can't do it. And so part of this course will help you identify areas that you need to maybe lean into and give you some tools to do that. All right, so does just adapting a growth mindset create good outcomes? So I think the answer to that is a yes. So by good outcomes, so it depends on what you mean by outcome, but I think that you will find by leaning into things with a growth mindset, you will find more satisfaction in what you do. I think you will find more things that resonate with you. You will have a more positive outlook and find the good in things more. And I think what I've noticed about this is if you can do it successfully in one thing, it translates pretty easily to other avenues in your life that you might want to lean into and do the work there as well. And I've also noticed that when a parent or an educator adopts a growth mindset, it's extremely contagious for people around you, or for people that are kind of under your supervision or who are looking to you as a role model. So in that way, it's like one of the many things with being a role model, a teacher, or a parent is that sometimes in order to teach it to people who love us and are smaller than us or dependent on us, we have to learn how to do it ourselves. And that's one of the most beautiful and challenging things about parenting or educating someone else is that we sometimes need to push into areas of ourselves that need growth as well. And it's very rewarding in that way. Does teaching a growth mindset reduce aggression and bullying? That's an interesting one too, because I feel like the more that we get pigeonholed as people and put into boxes, the more likely we are to push against that and to perhaps exhibit aggressive behavior or bullying or just act out in general, because we're made to feel small when that happens. And I feel like just the way we show up in this world as humans, we're meant to have unlimited potential. We're meant to expand and to grow into things. And that the human spirit doesn't really like being in these little boxes or categories. And when we have a fixed mindset, we are putting ourselves in those boxes or categories. And when people do that to us, we don't like it. And yet we then persist and we do it to ourselves, even into adulthood. Like, I am not an artist. I can't do math. I am not good at leadership. I can't public speak because I don't have the personality. I don't have the skills. And so these things, when we constantly tell ourselves these, they become this self-fulfilling prophecy. And then because we feel small about ourselves, it's interesting, we become sometimes more critical of others. Or if we can't public speak, then we sometimes are more critical of those who are public speaking. And so in this way, I do feel like if we can lean into the growth mindset about these types of things in ourselves and become more positive in our own lives, that will extend to others, and we will be able to give others kind of more space to be who they are without feeling like we need to label them, and kind of let them do their own thing, because now we're happier with what we have in ourselves. So I think that that's answering some questions that I've gotten just about growth mindset in general. The course itself goes through what the neurological basis is, or from a neuroscience point of view, how neurons actually change with repeated exposure to things, and how practice works. And then we talk about the more psychological point of view of growth mindset, what it is, and we think about the positive self-talk and other kinds of techniques or tools we can use in day-to-day life. And the final part of the course talks a little bit about the spiritual aspects of growth mindset and intent, and how those might actually be beneficial to us in our day-to-day lives as well. So I hope you enjoy the course, and I hope that this Q&A session was helpful for you figuring out if this course is for you. Happy growing.